So do you actually need a license to wholesale real estate? Well, you're gonna find out in this video. I'll be explaining what wholesaling even is, if you need a license for it, and why you would even get a license in the first place. And if you are new to the channel, my name's Justin You're Wrong, and I've helped hundreds of people make money in real estate. So first of all, I wanna explain what wholesaling even is. You probably heard of it already, but I remember when I was just learning about wholesaling, it took me a little bit of time to actually understand what wholesaling was after multiple times hearing about it. If you're kind of in that stage where you're not entirely sure, listen to this right here. All it really is, it's like kind of like you're flipping a house, but you're not. What I mean by that is you are gonna be initially acting as the buyer. So let's say there's a homeowner out there, he wants to sell his home for $100,000 and it's a steal, it's a great deal. You as a wholesaler are going to make the offer to that seller, the homeowner. You're gonna say, hey, I'll buy your house for $100,000. So you write up a contract saying $100,000, you sign, you send the contract over to them. So this is your offer. And if once they sign the contract or sign your offer, they're accepting your offer. That's when you have a fully executed purchase agreement. Executed means like everyone signed. So you have a fully signed contract where you're planning to buy their house for $100,000. And from there, you're gonna take your fully signed contract, then you're gonna go to your other investor friends that you know, and you're like, hey, who wants to buy this contract from me? This is what wholesaling is. So you're selling the contract. You're selling the rights to purchase the home. So what happens essentially when you offer on a home and once they accept your offer, the contract is essentially a sign that you now have the rights to purchase their home for $100,000. And if you sell the contract to someone else, which you totally can, like it's your asset, then that person who buys the contract now owns the rights to buy that other house. Basically, if you have it locked up for $100,000, you can go to these other investors and say, hey, like, who wants to buy this contract from me for $120,000? That's what wholesaling is. And so what happens is if you have a $100,000 contract, they're buying the home for $120,000. The seller, the original seller, they get their $100,000, and you as the wholesaler get the $20,000 difference as the assignment fee. Like this is how you get paid. And so that $20,000 that you're paid as a wholesaler, that's essentially your fee for one, finding the deal, and then connecting the seller to the end buyer. And so that's your job as a wholesaler. And I've explained this a lot of different ways in a lot of different videos, but hopefully how I explain it here kind of gave you the push to fully grasp the concept of wholesaling. Because in short, all wholesaling really is, it's flipping a contract. So instead of flipping the house, you're flipping the contract to buy the house. Like that's essentially what you're doing. You're like, hey seller, I want to buy your house for $100,000. They're like, cool. You go to your investor friend who wants to buy this for $120,000. Whatever it is, however much more. The key is that you're buying a good enough deal for an investor to still want to buy it from you. Like that's the hard part of finding a really, really good deal. So even though I made it sound super easy, like it's really hard to find a good deal. And that's why wholesalers get paid. Now I know a lot of people watching this are probably now thinking like, hey, like this kind of sounds like the job of a real estate agent. Like it sounds like you're representing the seller and you're finding a buyer for their home. Like how is that not being a real estate agent? And the difference is you're essentially just selling the asset. You're selling the contract. As a real estate agent, you're representing the seller in their best interest. As a wholesaler, you're essentially just selling your own personal asset, which is the contract. So there's a very big difference there. And for that reason, a lot of people kind of get confused as far as like, do you need a license for this or do you not need a license? I don't know every state out there, to be honest, but like I know in California and a lot of the other states out there, like you do not need a license to wholesale. I know there may be like new regulations. I mean, right now, what is it, 2020? And I know there are new up and coming regulations about like certain states needing a license for wholesaling. So definitely look into your own states, but at least I know in like California, Vegas, I mean, Nevada as of right now, like we're good to wholesale. And really for me, I just kind of look out for my market because I'm not buying across the country. Like I'm really just buying in California or wholesaling in California. But as far as needing your license in general to wholesale, no, you don't need it. I mean, maybe some states now, later on, you will need it. I don't know. Things can change. But as of right now, today, I'm recording, what is today? Today's June 10th, 2022. You do not need your license to wholesale in about every state. I don't even want to missay it, the state, because I'm not really entirely sure, but I think there might be one state where it's like, you need your license. The one thing I will say though is that if you are a wholesaler and you're planning to wholesale and you kind of want to stay out of legal trouble, the wording matters. So whenever you're going to sell a deal, it's maybe you get a deal under contract, so you're offering the $100,000 for a home. The seller accepts your offer. Now you have a $100,000 deal. With this $100,000 contract, the rights to purchase this home, you do not go to other investors and you say, hey, I have a home and I'm selling a home. You are not selling a home. You are wholesaling a home. You're selling your contracts. Wording matters. Be very careful about like how you pitch the deals, how you pitch your wholesale deals to these other investors, because like you're not selling the home. The seller's selling their home. It's like you're not acting as their agent. You're just saying, hey, like I have this locked up. I am wholesaling the home. I'm not selling it. Like, I don't own the home. I'm wholesaling it. Like, do you want to buy the contract from me? So that this is kind of how you word stuff to kind of stay out of trouble. Because like, there's a very big difference. When you say I'm selling a home, it kind of sounds like you either own it or you're representing the seller, which you are absolutely not. Like, that's the job of a real estate agent who has a license. And so that's why there's kind of like, they're very similar as far as licensed agents and then wholesalers. The difference is that like, wholesalers are just selling their asset. They're selling their contracts. Agents, they're earning commission of helping the seller sell their house. So no, you do not need a license, but I wanna kind of talk about why someone would get their license in the first place, especially if they're gonna be wholesaling or investing in real estate. So if you're wholesaling real estate, no, you do not need your license. Now the question becomes, should I get it or should I not get it? And in my personal opinion, I don't think anyone should get their license unless their plan is to specifically represent other buyers and represent other sellers. If your plan is to actually utilize your license and represent clients and keep clients because you're like, maybe I am interested in that, maybe it's something that'll bring me joy, then go ahead and do it. But if it's not something that you think will bring you joy and you're just doing it to have it and to think that you can get more experience in real estate investing or wholesaling, it's a bad idea. I'm licensed myself and I never needed to get licensed, to be honest. Like, I got licensed because I thought I would learn a lot more about the real estate investing, rental properties, learn more about flipping and wholesaling, and I really didn't. Like, all I learned is that I hate being an agent. The thing about being a real estate agent is that you think you're a business owner, but in reality, you have a lot of different bosses. Like, every client that you represent as an agent, at least in my opinion, this is how I felt. Whenever I represented a buyer or a seller, and I had multiple at once, each one of those people were one of my bosses. Like, if I was showing houses to a buyer, I'd be like, hey, do you like this house? They're like, nah, it's okay, I don't want it. So like, they were in control. They tell me where to go. They're like, hey, this fits for my schedule. Like, can you meet me here at this time? And I was like, man, like, why do I have 10 bosses right now? And I guess that's why I really didn't like it, is because I felt like I was just kind of being bossed around. So in my personal opinion, this is just my opinion, I wouldn't get a license unless your plan is to represent buyers and sellers because you think you like it. Like, don't just get a license because maybe you're gonna start flipping houses and you wanna represent yourself on your own flips. Like, don't do that, it's not worth it. Like, there's a lot of paperwork that goes along with it. And just unless you think you're gonna like it for general, like representing people, don't do it. This is just my opinion though, so like, you can do what you want. I'm kind of telling you from my own personal experience and what worked well for me. And also, if you want help to grow your real estate business, click on the link in the description below, fill out the application, and someone from my team will reach out to you for a free strategy session. Peace.